Namaskar, welcome to the Sansad TV. Today, in a special series on defense, I focus on India's defense capability and manufacturing, especially the policy thrust for the indigenous military technology and production of advanced systems and platforms for the Indian Armed Forces. In fact, India as a hub for the defense manufacturing is also about boosting security and economic growth. This is your host, Manish Kumar Jha. Defense production reached 1.27 lakh crore. Furthering such ambition, the country's defense production targets to reach 3 lakh crore by 2029. The crucial mandate is also vital for the economic growth as defense thrives on technology and innovation. Leading such initiative is Sanjeev Kumar, Secretary of Defense Production at Ministry of Defense. In exclusive interaction with the Secretary, I will focus on the roadmap and policies for spurring defense manufacturing for both public and private sector. This is your host, Manish Kumar Jha again. Let me give you a brief about Mr. Kumar. A technocrat with electronics and communication engineering from IIT Kanpur is poised and well placed to understand the complexities of military technology and ever-changing dynamics of production in the wake of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning and hybrid and autonomous modern assembly line which is happening around the world. Further, his leadership in designing and launching various national policies and initiatives including the PMA is highly encouraging that he would be rallying for reforms and efficiency in India's quest for self-reliance, not only in the higher scale of defense manufacturing but put his thrust on the new, emerging and critical technology. I welcome Defense Production Secretary Shri Sanjeev Kumar on Sansad TV. I welcome you, sir. I begin asking you, India's defense sector appears poised for exponential growth, driving both economic and strategic advancement. India's defense production reached a record high, which you mentioned, 1.7 lakh crore. Now, we are targeting 3 lakh crore by 2029. Could you give us a futuristic roadmap to begin with Secretary Sanjeev Kumar?
Thank you very much, Manish. First of all, I must thank you for inviting me to this important platform of Samvaad. And I also would like to thank your viewers for giving us opportunity to tell what's happening in the defense manufacturing sector. As you rightly said, that India's defense production has reached a record high of 1.27 lakh crore in 23-24, and we are poised to surpass this year. And in 29-30, our target is 3 lakh crore. And why we feel that we would be able to achieve the domestic manufacturing of 3 lakh crore is because of the couple of reasons. First and foremost is Honorable Prime Minister's thrust on Make in India.
Right.
And Make in India also for the defense. And make for ourselves and make for the export also, make for the world. If you see in last 10 years, our defense production in the defense manufacturing sector has grown from almost 46,000 crore to 1,27,000 crore.
That's right.
It's a healthy growth of 10% year to year. To reach 3 lakh, we need to log the growth of 12%, which seems quite feasible in terms of the task which is given and in terms of the policy tools which we are employing and also the response given by our defense industries, both public sector and private sector. Our export, which would also be one of the backbone of defense manufacturing, has also grown very rapidly. In 2014-15, our defense export was less than 2,000 crore, which is now almost 22,000 crore, and this year we hope to surpass that too also. So what are the policy initiative which government has taken is, first and foremost is that 75% of the defense acquisition budget, the budget which is used by armed force for purchasing capital equipment, is reserved now for the domestic production.
Right.
So that becomes a very significant boost for our domestic manufacturing. And coupling with those efforts are the other policy efforts like allowing DRDO to give technology to the private sector also. And now more and more technology is being given to the private sector. Private sector itself is developing many good platforms, technologies which is being used by or would be used by our armed forces. PSUs are also increasing their production.
Yes.
And another significant step which Ministry has taken is that positive indigenization list. That's a large number of LRU level component and sub-assembly, assembly level component has been listed in positive indigenization list, and with a target that by 2930, all of these would be purchased within the country. That's a very clear sign to the domestic industry to invest. And beyond that, we have created a region portal where almost more than 30,000 component level items has been listed, which our intention is to purchase locally. So with these efforts, our domestic production is increasing, and we are sure that we would be able to achieve the target of 3 lakh crore by 2930. You must also see that defense acquisition budget is also increasing every year at the rate of 8 to 9%. So that defense acquisition budget primarily drives defense domestic industries, and along with exports, I am sure that the growth rate of 12% is achievable, and we will achieve 3 lakh crore by 2930.
Secretary, you talked about the positive indigenization list, which I understand not only spurred the new opportunity for our defense entities, including startups and MSMEs. It's also threw a new kind of challenges to fill the void and demand and produce systems and subsystems which used to be imported so far. Are we expecting a new list this year from your ministry?
So this positive indigenization list is valid, or the target which we have set is up to 2930. So we will review it after a couple of years and will certainly increase. But other thing which I talked about, the region portal, where we have listed the items which we importing,
right,
which is more than 30,000. Now that list is still, we are supplementing this list by listing those items also which the suppliers, vendors or MSMEs or PSUs were themselves importing. So those can also be then indigenized. That would, I think, add many thousands in that. Maybe we are still finalizing that list, finding out the use of those equipment in next 5 to 10 years, so that there is enough business potential for the MSMEs or private sector or any other person to invest money, and also the specification and quantity, tentative quantity, etc. Probably next 2 to 3 months we will be able to do that.
So we see the widening of that positive indigenization list, including more items for the military, which could be substituted for the import and could be made in India.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Secretary, I continue asking you this important question. Of course, the production target is so important, and I just said, defense is not only about the security; it's also about economic growth, which we're talking about. Prime Minister has also emphasized this many times, and how technology can spur the economic growth, and defense becomes a key sector on that. I particularly focus, while the DPSU are scaling up, how vital is the growth of private players in defense manufacturing? As a defense production secretary, you aim to galvanize the sector with greater participation, removing nomination-based entry. I see the recent announcement coming from MoD, from the private players. How are policies geared to achieve such a scale of production, ambitious production, which you have also talked about, 3 lakh crore we are setting up? Could you highlight, in terms of your policy thrust and direction?
So basically, the defense industry opened up to the private sector as such in 2001, but the actual work started post in last 8 to 10 years, when we gave the thrust on, the government gave the thrust on Make in India, and 75% of the acquisition budget was reserved for the domestic production.
Yes.
Within 75%, out of that 75%, 25% has been reserved for the private sector.
That's
so
right.
That is the thrust which government is giving for the private sector. I fully agree with you that self-reliance is very, very important standalone goal, which itself should aspire us or should drive us for the Make in India. But the economic benefit out of defense manufacturing are enormous. Enormous spur product which can be used in civilian can become from this defense manufacturing, because typically defense manufacturing is cutting edge, is fail proof, and huge amount of engineering and technology goes in defense manufacturing.
That's right.
When that type of capability is created, that capability of machining, that capability of designing, that capability of manufacturing can be used in civilian sector also. So enormous growth potential the defense industry has. The world over, most of the time in the past, defense technologies has created new civil technologies. Though I agree that nowadays the trend is changing, because the civilian technologies are shaping defense technology in much bigger way than earlier.
Yes.
But still defense technology shaped the civilian technology. So private sector becomes very, very important for us. And if you see the number of private companies which were having license in 2014-15 were 200 odd, 2015. Now they have gone more than 700. Licensing regime has changed. Now the license is given for 15 years, which can further be extended. Many of the products have been taken off from the mandatory license list. So defense licensing has become much more rationalized, liberalized. The demand has been created by reserving 75% of the acquisition budget for Make in India, or let's say domestic production, and within that 25% for the private sector. This positive indigenization list, Citizen list, is basically for the private sector. Private sector is not only now contributing in small components and subunits or LRUs, but they are also contributing in a much bigger way and in a very significant way for the platform developments also. In the army, in the navy also, we are seeing large number of private sector, big private companies are coming up and creating good product for our army, for our navy, and also for our air force, and also exporting. So their role become very important. And what we are also doing is that realizing very well that only on the domestic demand surviving of the ecosystem may not be so easy. So we have to ease up the export also. So export rationalization has been done very actively, and it's a continuous process. We are still rationalizing the export authorization process, and the result is that export has increased from less than 2,000 crore to more than 20,000 crore, so 10 times growth. So domestic demand coupled with export rationalization, coupled with TOT from DRDO labs to the private sector, and private sector's own ability and positive indigenization list, liberalized licensing regime, and also defense industrial corridor, which we have created, one in UP and one in Tamil Nadu, and supplementary facilities like testing facilities, because any defense product, any supply has to be tested, accepted by the forces, and then only it can be supplied. So we are increasing the testing facility. We are making testing facilities which are under the control of DRDO and DPSU available to the private sector also, transparently through a portal. The portal which was launched by Honorable Raksha Mantri ji in Aero India 2025 as year of reform, which call he has given that we need to reform in this year. So all these initiatives is helping us to attract more and more private sector at various levels, starting from a startup to MSMEs to the medium level company to the large conglomerates in the defense sector.
And as you, Defense Protection Secretary, you pointed out so rightly, I need to re-emphasize the point that the private sector companies in India have significantly contributed to the country defense production this fiscal year, accounting for a larger share than in past 8 years. In fact, according to data from your Ministry, Department of Defense Production, private sector companies contributed to rupees 16,411 crore, or 22% of the total defense production. By keeping such trend, as we said, what are other expectations? For example, industry really welcomed when you talked about no nomination based tendering for the large defense platform, a contract, because in today, even for example, in our military platform and asset, in naval you have this private company which is building the big platform, the strategic naval asset. You have a land which is making the light tank, is a private company. In the same spirit, we see unfolding more ease of private sector entry into defense, like the based on nomination. If you can highlight some of your futuristic policies.
So the stated policy of ours is ministry and government is that nomination won't be the norm. Competition is the norm. Nomination would happen in certain cases where there are no options, where there is no economy of scale available to create second manufacturing capability. In certain areas, you would appreciate, and probably your viewers would also appreciate, that economy of scale dictate that only you can create one facility. If you create another facility, then both of them might suffer. So, but mostly the stated, the adopted policy, the policy which is being implemented is that competition is the norm, nomination is the exception, and this exception is getting reduced year by year. Earlier, if you recall, the ordnance factories which used to come under Ordnance Factory Board which got corporatized in 2021.
7 DPS you were talking about.
So most of them used to get orders on the nomination basis. In fact, entire army supply used to come from them on the nomination basis, which is now almost stopped, except the past orders, legacy orders, or except certain cases where sustenance supply can be done only all those PSUs because they have that technology, or because those items are only for the past stores. So no new stores is going to get created. So there is hardly any chance of new supplier coming in competition to this existing supplier. Only in those cases nomination is happening, or certain high-end product where the technology transfer or where the manufacturing, doubling the manufacturing capability may not be possible, nomination is happening.
So the defense sector will see this ambitious reform, which is based on any process or acquisition or granting business will be based on efficiency, competition and accountability, what you're talking about going forward. And that's a big ambitious. In fact, 2025 is marked for the vital defense reforms by MoD itself. But there are key challenges to address. Secretary, if I pointed out, the scope of simplifying the complex procurement process, which you also understand, and upgrade the DAP 2020, which direction it will go? If you could just give us some roadmap for this.
So as you very rightly observed, 2025 is the time when DAP would be revised, and acquisition wing of the ministry that comes under Department of Defense has already started the process. The consultation has already started. The direction given by Honorable RM and accepted by us and so totally supported by all of us is that we need to simplify it so that acquisition can become faster and simpler and better. Seeing the complexity in acquisition, the balance has to be created where we can fulfill the acquisition procedure in a transparent and fast manner, so that the industry also get the orders in time and can start manufacturing.
So will we see some radical changes in a DAP in terms of overall?
Well, I really don't know what to call radical. What would I say is that the attempt would be to simplify it, attempt would be to make it fast, attempt would be to maintain the transparency, attempt would be to give a roadmap, clear roadmap, so that the industry can poise itself for meeting the need of armed forces.
And I think DAP 2020 has served its purpose well in addressing many of the our contemporary situation. But of course, as you said, needs upgrades, keeping with the time and technology. I further have one important question, which is regarding again the policy part and related to the technology exchange, Secretary. What about the defense offset in building technology in higher production in India? Is offset still part of the MoD scheme of addressing technology, gaining something out of the offset pattern, or is it an obsolete policy thrust from your side?
It's not obsolete in that sense that it is not being used. It is being used, but certainly the focus and emphasis has changed. And when we say whether TOT through offset has been successful or not, it's very difficult to pass judgment. I would say, in my personal opinion, it's a mixed bag. So many of the production capabilities which has come in this country, on which we are now building the further production capability, either in private sector or in public sector, has come through TOT various means, whether offset was the reason or whether agreement itself was the reason which entailed the manufacturing within the country. So large number of MSMEs, large number of industries has come because of these contract or because of these features of our contract. Whether they can be directly alluded to offset or not is something one can discuss about, research about, talk about. But offset certainly has helped. Whether it has helped to the extent in which we envisaged, or whether it has helped to the significant part, individual choice would vary. But I personally feel that offset certainly has helped.
So in some part it will continue contributing in our technology sphere and production?
Yes, it is still there. It is still part of the scheme, but though it has changed a lot, and how it would change in 2025, it's very, very difficult for me to guess, because we have to discuss internally with all our stakeholders, all people around, and also take the expert opinion. Then only we can say what change in offset policy would happen in 2025.
Secretary Kumar, this is important. Another question which I'm coming to, and this is important. You are a doyen of both public and private sector. You're responsible for you're a guardian for both basically. There are high entry barriers in defense, while several large private companies have already invested significant capital investment needed to establish robust defense manufacturing capabilities, especially in advanced technology, which you're aware, and production, which can be a deterrent for a new private players. How do you plan to address, especially keeping the private sector into this advanced, critical, emerging technologies sector? Do you talk about some of your policy directions or way through?
So, I feel that in cutting edge technology, high advanced technology, the entry barrier is less, because there what you require is the ability to think afresh, ability to create new technology, absorb new technology, create a new product. So, I see that large number of companies, startups are able to come in the cutting edge technology, on the new age technology, or let's say space technology, AI based technology, machine learning technology. So, their entry barrier as such is not a big issue. Probably entry barrier issue as is in other industry, it's not very peculiar to the defense industry, would be where the large investment is required. And then we have to see that the type of structure we have, whether the monopolies are getting created because of the policy, or it is because of the economy of scale is such that probably not more than 2 to 3 companies can survive. So, I don't think policy is creating any monopoly in this regard, or there is no monopoly as such also. I see in almost all places there is a competition, except maybe 1 or 2 very high, we say like complicated platform which require huge amount of investment, not only in terms of financial resources, but also in terms of learning which get acquired over many years. I am very hopeful that our policies like IDEX, our policy like Aditi, our policy like MAKE, which encourage new entrepreneurs, MSMEs, and also give government grant and allow them to innovate and get integrated in our supply chain, is removing those entry barrier. And out of these hundreds of the people, I think more than many hundred, 400 people, the problem statement has been floated under IDEX, and large number of people are or companies are engaged with us under IDEX and MAKE. Many of them would become big, and some of them would become very big in coming years. So, we have to be hopeful, and rather this new technologies areas has created much better level playing field vis-a-vis the new entrant versus old entrant. Otherwise, there was no issue of level playing field, has been leveled much better by these new technologies.
That's right. In fact, under the IDX, there have been some remarkable innovations which I have witnessed too. In schemes like Aditi has also started contributing, and DRDO's own TDF program has been building, which fund is enough to support and spur the new startups in India. But Secretary, one of the sunshine story of defense is export. It is certainly a matter of pride that from a very base way back, it has reached to rupees 21,000 crore in 2023-24, and government has indeed set a further bold ambition, a target to reach 50,000 crore by 2028. What are the policy measures to boost this further, since it has already taken up a certain directions and momentum amid highly competitive global market which you also witness? What are the steps to increase international footprint to facilitate Indian export via defense attaches in various embassies? If you could highlight and throw some aspect of this.
Thank you very much for asking this question. I will take a couple of minutes. Basically, first, export started happening when we first created demand within our own country. So, this demand of which we were discussing earlier created domestic industry, and then those domestic industry became, let's say, stable enough and competent enough, and when our armed forces started using their product, then export become easy. And typical geopolitical situation which is prevailing now in the world is giving us good tailwind, in that sense that there is a demand, and many countries are now trying to diversify their supply chain, and they are also rethinking about replenishing their let's say stores of various arms and armament. And because of this, we are seeing good demand, and our industry is able to supply very quality product to them. That's why the demand is increasing. and demand increasing. Along with that, we have to increase the supply, and supply, one of the constraint is the regulatory regime of allowing export authorization. So in that we have worked a lot, and we are still working to simplify the export authorization, and so that the companies are able to get fast export permission, and they have very stable regime, so that they can predict whether they would be able to export to particular country or particular entity or not. So they can negotiate in advance, and then formality of export permission can be taken. We have created this category of open license, OGL, and a lot work has been done by amending SOP again and again. I think 4 or 5 times we have amended the SOP in last 3-4 years. We will still amend it so that it become more business friendly, more export friendly, and once we are able to sort out the demand side, then supply side can take care of by supplying the product which are being manufactured in our country. Defense attaches and embassies are very actively being used, as you asked, in creating the awareness of our product, awareness of our industry, awareness of our capability. We also from the department side create a good document and also participate in various exhibitions. We also carry out the webinars. We also carry out the seminar in foreign countries. And also
team dedicated a team to facilitate export opportunity for the private player as well.
Absolutely. I mean, all information is transparently shared with the all private industry through their association, SIDM and others, and also with other big industries. And creating awareness, creating that knowledge about our capabilities, our quality, and helping those foreign countries to make a correct choice in purchasing from one of our industry. We are taking in that direction. Defense LOC also plays a very important role in this. So we are sure that given the situation where we are, and also capability of our industry, and the credibility which this country has created, not only in defense but also in other sector, in other manufacturing sector, and the efforts being done by our Ministry of External Affairs, defense attaches, our armed forces, our own officers, and private industries individually and collectively together would be able to keep this story of growth and export intact, and we would be able to achieve this target.
So any private sector who has the potential to export can come and knock your door anytime?
Anytime.
Secretary Kumar, I also would like to bring your attention. One of the key reforms which already took place is the Ordnance factory, which was turned into a DPUC, and which aimed to bring more efficiency and higher innovations. Could you talk about the growth in terms of production revenues, in terms of what the reform has achieved and sought to achieve?
So, reforms is just 3-year-old. The reform has achieved very significant success. One is that the dependence on government has gone. Now, all new DPSU understand that getting order on nomination won't be the norm. They have to compete, and they are competing. The good thing is they are competing. If we add the production of all 7 companies, has gone higher than the earlier, let's say 41 factories which used to come under Ordnance Factory Board and which got now distributed among those 7. And the brighter side of the news is they are now exporting also.
Okay.
So earlier the export used to be minuscule, incidental. Now consciously they are able to export, few of them, not all of them, but few of them are able to export. And they are also investing their own money in product development and product improvement. You were talking, let's say R&D, until unless they start doing R&D, I mean R&D in the sense of product improvement and even a new product development, they won't be able to compete. They have understood that very well. So they are doing that too also. Adopting the quality standards now, many of these factories are adopting now QA4 standard so that the quality can be better assured. So these are all very, very positive signs. The dependence on government has gone. They are earning, they are able to break even on their own, except 1 or 2 companies, all 7
I think they're
companies.
getting up to challenges, as you said. And one more particular question, Secretary, which I'd like to point it out, of course, despite one of the key companies called HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, which makes a fighter jet, which also makes our ALH helicopters. It has a legacy and has really proven capability, but it's also facing a slew of criticism for the slow production of the Tejas, which Air Force is suffering. As a guardian overall, how would you look at this situation? How they can ramp up the production despite their many difficulties, including the engine issues remains?
Well, so it's a fact that the delivery of LCA Tejas Mark 1A couldn't take place the way it was thought to be, it was contracted to be. So the positive side of development is that presently their capability is 16 aircraft per annum, which they are going to increase to 24 by the end of this year. That is by the end of 31st March 26. Before that only they would be. They are adding a one more line in Nasik. Engine issue is also sorted out. First engine should start coming in this month, March or April.
That's a good sign. So first engine will start coming this month.
So then yearly, then the GE would be able to meet part of the demand, and then in coming year the full demand. The development part of the Tejas Mark 1, 102 development project, which DRDO and HAL was doing together, ADA and HAL. This also coming to a conclusion, and this year that would also get concluded. So HAL is further taking efforts to increase their capability from 24 to let's say 30. But 24 per annum, they would be able to create that type of capability along with the private sector, their partner, their MSMEs by the end of this year. And with the engine issue sorted out, we are sure that the supply of Tejas would start.
Do we see some policy direction to excite R&D in the defense industry, and especially when we talk again in the private sector?
So the overall policy of Government of India to encourage industries to invest R&D is already there, and Anusandhan Fund has also been come, which encourage R&D by all of us, by all industries. If I have to speak about defense PSUs, they are very encouraging sign, as I was just alluding a little while ago, that even the new DPSU which have got formed in 2021 as company now started investing good amount of their money in product development and R&D. And company like HAL and BL are investing significant amount of their turnover, more than 10% in R&D, and which is a significant amount, and I'm sure that this type of investment cumulatively, if it happens over many years, we would be able to create our own platform. The HAL has come out with CATS, which was unveiled in Aero show, which probably would start flying in a couple of years. So BL is also developing many of their own technology, so is BDL. So I see very positive sign as far as the defense PSUs are concerned. They have learned that, and they have recognized and accepted the fact that depending upon only government funding, funded R&D through DRDO won't be good enough. They also have to invest their own resources in meaningful R&D, and also for the blue sky or beyond horizon type of technologies which can surprise anybody. They say that the manufacturing, what we are doing now is of present technology, but the technological space is changing so fast that the requirement of the forces or the type of equipment they would use over let's say in next 10-15 years might change. A very, very significant part of that. Unless we all start investing in R&D and visualizing the future, whether the defense PSUs or the defense private industry, we might face the challenge down the line after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So everybody recognize that the way technology is changing, if you have to remain relevant in the defense manufacturing and the supplier, the preferred supplier to the armed force, you have to continuously invest in R&D and develop and refine the existing product, develop new product, and also think something which is unthinkable today and develop it and deliver it after, let's say, a decade or so.
So that's the heart of the matter. R&D is the key. We need to continue invest in R&D. We need to continue growing our production based on new technology, and this is the thrust area. I thank Sanjeev Kumar, Secretary of Defence Production at Ministry of Defence, for speaking with us on the range of issues that spur the defence indigenization, high rate of production, and an era of new defence reforms here. This is Manish Kumar signing off from Sansad TV. Jai Hind.